Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, or whenever you're seeing this. Welcome to Art with Ashley. I have been thinking a lot about spring, and we are in the month of April currently, and April 22nd happens to be Earth Day. Um, I myself and my daughter, we feel pretty passionate about recycling and composting and just doing what we can and doing our part to help our lovely earth, because I want to make it a sustainable and bright future for my daughter and for generations to come. So with that in mind, today I thought we would do a another kind of recycled art. This will be using egg cartons. So this is just the bottom half of an egg carton. And so we will be creating little flowers out of these egg cartons, and I'm going to show you how to do that, and we'll paint them, and hopefully we'll do a little finishing touch on them and go from there. So just to start, the supplies that I have, obviously I have an egg carton, I have some scissors, I have an X-Acto knife, and then I have a few different kinds of acrylic paint that I'll be using. Some water for my brush, a paintbrush, of course, a palette, which I've already put my paint on, a glue gun, and I have some decorative buttons here. I know everybody has buttons laying around for the most part, so those should be easy to find. And I also have an artificial flower that I have taken apart, because then I'm going to use the stem for our recycled flowers. However, and I just didn't grab it this time, but you could use like an old skewer or a stick or something. You could wrap that in floral tape. You could, wrap that in a pipe cleaner, whatever you have laying around. Okay. So I am going to move the camera now so that you can see my workspace, and we will go from there. Okay, so hopefully this is good here. All right. So to begin with my egg carton here, what I am going to do, I'm going to cut off the sides here. These egg cartons are fairly easy to cut. If you're having difficulty, you may want to use something like an X-Acto knife or a box cutter or something along those lines. So this is just like a thinner piece of cardboard. So, and then what I do is where that line is there, I typically start there and just cut to the edge, and then pretty much we're going to cut out each individual shape, and then we'll use these two. So I've got one cut off. Do the same with the others here. I'll cut off this edge. All right. Until I cut the two corners off. Okay. I'm just going to cut that center out. All right. That's all I'm going to cut for now, but definitely if you want a variety of flowers, you can, you know, go through the whole thing here. So, and I even keep these little sides here too, because what you can do is create little leaves. These ones I don't have painted yet, but, you know, from any sort of scrap that you have laying around anywhere, okay? Okay, so what I'm going to do next then is basically I will split the cardboard. I'm going to section it off essentially, right? So making some cuts here. There we go. You can tell I have made a few cuts. These sides here too. And certainly you can get creative. I'm just going to show you the two flowers that, just two of the flowers. I can show you some of the other ones, but I'm not going to give you a tutorial on how to create those. But you can just be really creative with it and, you know, shape them however you want to. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to each one of these edges and kind of round it off to create petals for my flowers. Oops. I'm rounding these. Okay, so you can tell I have one that I have rounded out. You can tell that one of them is shorter, and I'm going to show you how you can get around that kind of. All right, so then I have another one here, another corner. Again, I'll just cut them to individual petals, and then I'm going to, again, just round those corners. Okay, now that I have two of these cut out, what you can do to get around that, you know, obviously they're not all the same size, is when you put two of them together. So I'm not putting them like exactly one on top of each other. I'm kind of turning them so that the petals overlap each other a bit. So when you do it like this, you get more of a dimensional flower, right? Okay, so that is one. And then I'm going to show you how I created these flowers. This is actually made from the centerpiece. So going back to our large egg carton here, all of these pieces is what I used to create this. Okay. So again, you're going to go to each corner and just make a little slit down. You don't want to cut all the way down to the bottom, but just, you know, I don't know, I think I'm cutting maybe 3/4 of an inch down. Okay, so you can see I have cut it into fours here. And then I'll do the same thing. I'll go around and round the corners if I wanted to. Actually, it kind of looks neat, I think, with the square corners, but again, it's whatever your preference is. So eventually I would cut it around so that I would have the rounded edges like that. Okay. I can show you some of the other. I have some others that I have cut up here. So this is just a smaller flower. with shallower edges. Here's one that, I made several petals for, so splitting one section into two. You can do that all the way around. And then here's another one that I sort of had fun with, and I just kind of, cut little edges there. So, and then when you put those together, it's so just, a variety of different kinds of flowers. And, I have no idea if these would translate into an actual flower or not, but that's the beauty, I think, is that you can really have that creative freedom to make it how you want to. So I'm gonna move some of my scraps to the side. All right, I probably should have a piece of paper or something. I didn't think about that. So I'm just gonna set this down here as my workspace. So if I get some paint on it, that's okay. And I'm just gonna cut a couple of these, or not cut them, sorry. Paint a couple of them now. Can be messy. Grab a paper towel as well. Keep that in mind. And what I like to do is paint each one of these different color. Again, paint them however you want to. And then that way we get a little bit more dimension. So I'm gonna start here. I got some red. Really just want to go around the whole, inside and out of the flower. I really enjoy creating recycled art. I think so much ends up in our landfill. And, many of the things that I'm using here obviously are a little bit more recyclable than, the one-time use plastics and whatnot. But, just utilizing what we have right at hand. So if you're feeling creative, you want to do a project, but maybe you don't have, the traditional means of creating art. So maybe a canvas or watercolor paints or whatever, right? I want you to know that there's always a way to create something, and it might be just right under your nose. All right. So I think that I am going to do just the inside first and then let that dry, and then I'll flip it over and do the other side. So rinse my brush, and now I'm going to paint the inside of this one pink. Some of Butterfingers this morning. So we created these in one of the assisted living households. And what we did is we used pipe cleaner as the stem. And then instead of having them sitting upright in like a vase or something, we suspended them from the ceiling. So it was like we had some little flowers hanging down, which were really cute. All right, so we got that one painted on the inside now. I guess maybe I'll just go around and paint all the insides. You can choose whatever paint colors you want to. You want to make it more realistic, if you want to make it, really bright, whatever you would like to do is you have that artistic and creative freedom. And on to our last one. Oops. So funny, a lot of the paint that we have is donated, and so they're all different textures and viscosities, and but we make it work. We are just very lucky and grateful for any donations we get. So, all right, I'm gonna go around and paint the outsides now. Probably just do, yeah, we'll see. So the messy project, you can always let the inside dry for a while before you do the outside, so you don't get your hands all painted like mine, but I'm just doing this so you don't have to watch me paint forever. And you want to paint the bottom too. So really you want to have kind of all surfaces covered if you can. Almost there. All right. On a pink one here. You may notice I'm not using any sort of fancy palette here. This is just probably the top of a takeout container or something that has been saved. So again, in the terms of recycling, you know, you can repurpose many things if you're creative and can find a use for them. Especially anything plastic like this. Really takes many, many years to break down in the landfills. So if you're not able to recycle it, you good to think about how to repurpose it potentially. You know, I don't think I'm going to finish creating this one here. Just for the sake of time, we'll work with the red and pink one that we have here, okay? So these obviously are not entirely dry just yet, but the next order of business then would be to create a little hole on the inside here so that you can stick your stem through it. And that is why you can use the end of a pair of scissors like that. I find it safer to use something sharper so that you don't actually accidentally slip and injure yourself. So because this is still wet, it's a little bit delicate, but I'm just kind of twisting it in the middle. So it's in the center. I'm just twisting this and see how it's gone through there. So we have a little hole in the middle. Okay, and I'll do the same thing over here with the pink one. Okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do now that I've got the two holes in there, is I'm going to place them together. And I'm not putting it directly over the same petals, but turning it slightly so that you can see they are sort of overlapping. Whoops. I can show you that better, I guess, once I put it on the stem. Then I'm just gonna put the stem through the hole that I created. Don't have to do it too much there. You already can tell that's pretty cute, right? My next step, though, is to create a center for the flower. And so that's where the buttons come in, right? So I just have a few different ones that I had pulled out from our supply of buttons. So choose whatever you like, whatever you think would look really nice. I think that I am probably going to choose probably this gold one here. I think that's really, really cute. So that is why I have the hot glue gun out. So I'm going to take a little bit of hot glue and put that on the back of the button. Ah! Don't burn yourself if you can avoid it. Ouch, that did not feel good. All right, and then just carefully place that in the center of your flower. Mine's a little bit sideways, but that's okay. I'm just gonna hold it on there for a minute so it dries a bit. All right, and there we have it. There is your egg carton flower. Let me bring my screen up here. So from this to this, a little bit more of a close-up there of the inside of the flower. All right. So again, just using some recycled materials, some paint that you have laying around, you can really create something new and beautiful. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope to make another one for you again soon. Have a happy Earth Day, and thank you for helping take care of our planet. Bye-bye.